Oh, hey, good morning, everybody. You're watching Rebel Roundup, Rebel News' daily news and opinion show, but it is Wednesday. You must have noticed the new introduction or the different introduction. That means that it's the Buffalo panel. For at least the first half of the show, we talk about issues facing Western Canadians with panelists. You know, both of our panelists. One is my regular co-host, but I'm going to tell everybody what we're doing around here. If you're watching us on Rumble, that's an excellent free speech platform. They don't care about your politics, and that's exactly how it should be. If you want to support our work over there out of the goodness of your heart instead of the forced compulsion of the government, you can leave a Rumble rant. If your chat's over the $5 US cutoff, we're reading it on air. If it's under that, we do our very best, time permitting, and we really do our best. Same rules apply over on the censorship platform of YouTube. However, if you miss a live version of the show and you still want to contribute, you can leave a paid comment called a super thanks. Let's bring in the panel because we're already late. Panelists are regular Wednesday panelist, my real life best friend from Regina, Saskatchewan, Lise Merle. Lise, how's it going?
Oh, well, I mean, look who is joining us today, Sheila Gunnery.
Right.
It is our lucky day, everybody. It's a great day in Saskatchewan, but let's get to our guest.
Yes, our guest is the Alberta Director of the Canadian Taxpayers Federation, also real life good friend of mine, Chris Sims. Chris, how's it going?
Awesome. Thanks for having me. And the reason why we're late is because I couldn't make Zoom work. Apparently, that's new technology to me. So sorry, everybody.
So, but you were born in the 1900s, Chris. So it's all forgiven.
The 70s, in fact. Yeah. Amazeballs. Yeah.
Same.
All right.
We're dangerous. Okay.
Let's get into the news. It's funny the polls that the mainstream media choose to pump, because they never really touched our polling data, and we did our polling data over at Alberta's Choice through Main Street. We thought we would take a mainstream pollster that we had seen lots of, media coverage on their findings before, and I think it's because they didn't like what our poll showed.
Imagine.
They do like this one. So this is from CTV News. I think this is commissioned on behalf of Vote to Stay, if I recall correctly. Innovative Research Group says it's, said its poll was commissioned by third-party advertiser Vote to Stay. That's the Federalist, a lot of former MPs, Harper MPs in there. They looked at 5 areas of the province: Calgary, Edmonton, Northern Alberta, and Southern Alberta. They say that 78% of respondents in Calgary and 80% in Edmonton say they would definitely or probably vote to stay. In both Central and Northern Alberta, the poll found 66% of respondents say they would vote to remain. And in Southern Alberta, the poll found 72% would vote to stay. Now, I'm curious about how they are deciding what Central Alberta, Northern Alberta, and Southern Alberta, because we know the demographics outside of the cities is vastly different than what's happening inside the cities. I would love to see this broken down by municipality outside of those major centers, because it's no surprise 80% in Edmonton. Actually, frankly, that seems low. It's a government city, like they elect the NDP provincially, they'll elect a Liberal MP here and there, even an NDP MP. Calgary sort of is 60-40 split as far as its politics go. I want to see the urban-rural breakdown of this. That would be an interesting way to drive down on these demographics.
Yeah, around Lethbridge, I'll just give you up and down my street. So not everybody puts out a sign, right? Or a flag. But if I were doing the head count in Lethbridge of flags and signs combined, it's around 50-50. So of a bunch of Alberta flags and or an Alberta sign in the front yard, or the bunch of Canadian flags on the car out front. Isn't it funny how the flag signal changes over the years? What that would have meant back in 2022 is kind of different sometimes now.
Yeah.
So I would, again, this is obviously a straw poll while walking my dog through my neighborhood. It's about 50-50 in Lethbridge. And I would, your point is bang on, Sheila. I'd say that the more governmenty that you are, if you work for the government, if your sister-in-law
100%.
works for the government, you want your kid to work for the government, you're going to be shifting, of course, because you're looking out for your own best interest. And I'm not surprised by those Edmonton numbers either.
No. Ralph Klein said it was a beautiful city with too many socialists and mosquitoes, and that is the most evergreen statement I've heard in politics, Lise.
Yeah, no, but even though they're trying to play it off, because these guys want nothing more than a low voter turnout referendum. Okay, that's what they want. Yes, this is what they want. They're saying nobody is really interested in this, guys. Like, just look at these bar charts that we produced for you. But what that shows me, all of those multiple different colors on the end of the bar chart, is there is a significant and growing separatist sentiment in Ottawa. So as much as these sort of Ottawa-bound elitists would have you believe that there is nothing to it, that it's just a fringe minority that are exploring these things, Ottawa's policies, not patriotism, is what's under the microscope here. So don't forget that. Look at that bar. And you know how fast these things can move. We saw polls like this. Sheila Gunn-Reid, back me up on this. Ahead of the Brexit vote, where Britain was going to leave the European Union, we saw polls exactly like this, because they wanted the British people to think that there was nothing to see here, guys. There's nothing. This was not going to gain traction. This was going to be a big old nothing burger, and it was going to be back to business as usual the next day. I feel like they're going to be in for a surprise with the people of Alberta.
Yeah, it sort of underestimates the motivations of the independent side, because they had 7,000 volunteers working through one of the worst winters we've had in a long time. Yes. They are highly motivated. And if the intent of this polling is to demoralize the independence movement, I'm sorry to tell these folks, it's probably going to have the opposite effect. Yeah. It's going to cause them to work a little harder.
What gets me is this. So the Taxpayers Federation, we are a federation. And so we're not taking a position one way or the other. Yeah. However, personally, I'm born and raised in rural Western Canada. I worked on Parliament Hill for well over a decade, directly with most of these people, including those who are conducting said polls. So, raised by people in the military, by truckers, people who worked in oil and gas. And I spent a long time, frankly, like with the horse behind me, trying to be like an ambassador to the East, of trying to do the whole Kitimovic thing, really, of like, you know what, if they just understand us, they will love us. They won't do the National Energy Program again. They'll just get to know their neighbors out west here. And I tried for many years. Didn't really take.
Yeah, didn't really care.
It even in personal. And it was hard, because even outside of work, you'd go to people's baby showers and you'd be going, like, it was a social thing. And it just never really clicked. And then we really saw it during the lockdowns and stuff, when we saw the frozen bank accounts. From a taxpayer's perspective, we've always pushed for people's right to speak and to be able to hold referendums and have their say on things. What annoyed me at the start of this is I was getting mainstream media calls from the East saying, don't you think it's a waste of money to hold a referendum? It's taxpayers' money. I'm like, nice try. Nice try. Right. No, it isn't a waste of money to have we the people be able to speak on things. I will point out, folks, remember on October 19th, they're asking you a question if you want to hold a referendum on independence. It's not even a let's leave tomorrow. It's a should we ask a formal question? That's actually how they phrased it. The other ones, though, are things like, do you want to get rid of the Senate? Yeah. Do you want to charge fees to people who just arrived here and are all of a sudden using the healthcare system, using the education system? Yeah. Do you want to be able to name our own judges? Like, there's lots of really interesting things on that ballot. And to have this kind of dampening wet blanket effect coming from Eastern Canada isn't really a surprise. We are going to be championing the let's get rid of the Senate side of things. So I'm glad that the CTF is able to have a voice in that one element.
Yep. Yeah. Of all the things the government does, democracy costs money. That's right.
It's funny that's where they would want to pinch pennies.
Right.
You know what I mean? No, don't worry about the billions of dollars we're sending to gender diverse rice farmers in Indonesia. What do you think of the dollars that are going towards this referendum? Like, these guys.
I know.
It almost shows what's wrong with the entire system when they do that.
They can interview me on those $300,000 rocks in Saskatoon, and I'll tell them exactly what I think about the cost of democracy.
We talked about it yesterday, Chris. If your ears were ringing, we talked about this yesterday on the program, the $300,000 rocks in Saskatoon.
God bless. I got to give him a shout out. Gage Haubrick. He is our prairie director. Such as to me, he's like my kid because he's so much younger than me. But good on Gage. He spotted this weird news release buried on the Saskatoon City Hall website, and he's like, "Decorative rocks? Why are they costing $300,000?" And then he went out and found out they're made of plastic.
Yeah, you guys have real rocks in Saskatchewan. You do. I've seen them.
Ask any farmer. Okay, ask any of them. They will say there are rocks. We would have given you rocks. You could take
for
our
free.
Rocks for free.
Right.
My favorite picture is that one that's down at the bottom. It looks like one of those "Are you a robot?" check it box sign pictures, but it's behind Gage Gage went to the dump. Okay, bless his heart. I think he got out of his vehicle. See that one on the right that looks like the rock is in Alcatraz?
Yes.
That's where it is.
Is it outside of the dump, Chris?
Behind a fence. Behind a barrier.
Oh my God, it's so much worse than I thought. You guys, Saskatoon has put together these art installations and puts them, it's unexpected art where you wouldn't expect to see it. They literally put a plastic rock at the dump.
At the dumps.
So people throwing away their other plastic garbage can be inspired by it.
That's right. Well, think about it. Just think about it.
Yeah. Well, as I said on the show yesterday, one of the smartest things I've ever done as a farmer is put rocks on Facebook Marketplace after my kids picked them out of the field for free. And then I charged city people to come take my garbage away. Like
landscaping rocks.
Yes. Honestly, that's a great idea. People would love it for landscaping. Like
I took them.
Of course, I haul rocks back from the Fraser River in British Columbia in my truck so I can put them around here.
Oh
now,
my God, so cute.
If these were real rocks, okay, one of the cool things about the prairie landscape is you will come upon these sized real rocks.
Yes.
Not plastic rocks, real rocks. And why are they suddenly, why are they there in the middle of the prairie?
10,000 years ago, yeah.
So that's fascinating, right? Yeah. So why not just use the real rocks?
A glacier delivered rock. You could just go put it on a truck, like hook it up to a crane, put it on a truck, bring it there, drop it. Nobody's going to steal it. You know what?
Sure
I wonder how much those plastic rocks weigh. Like, could we just pick them up? Could they just be picked?
I'll go camping in one of them.
We should go do a Scooby-Doo and go liberate the rock. Oh. We can shove it in Sheila's pickup truck.
Oh.
$300,000, folks. Those are $100,000 a pop. Those fake plastic rocks. So good on Gage for taking that picture and documenting it.
On the city of Saskatoon.
Just
shame. Wow. And they wonder why they're looking at it. Is it 7%?
7%
increase on their property taxes in Saskatoon. Look what this crack team of insane budgeters has done for you.
Lise, I thought you rectangle people had more common sense. What is going on in the rectangle?
Right.
I keep saying we have problematic hotspots, Chris. Okay, I live in the woke epicenter of Saskatchewan, which happens to be Regina, but Saskatoon is not so far behind. Like they've had years and years and years of city councils who don't care about how much people have to pay to live in their city. Yeah, they don't care. They just don't care. And
what is it about urban living? I'm honestly asking this because I lived urban. I was a pedestrian. I was a cyclist for 13 years with no car in downtown Ottawa. What is it about urban living that makes people spend? I know, right? But I'm still, I didn't want to ban, gasoline vehicles or anything. What is it about urban living that makes people say it's okay to spend $100,000 a piece on big fake plastic rocks?
I don't know.
Yeah, these are people that are disconnected from reality, truly. Because these are people that did not know that farmers would give them away for free.
Right.
Truly. And how come they don't know that?
I think it's a lack of being in nature.
That's true.
That forces you to sort of desire nature. Like everybody desires nature. But when you live in the city and you don't go outside of it, then artificial nature is fine. I think.
Interesting.
Even if I'm trying to be as open-minded as I can. Say they wanted these rocks. Okay, I'm glad you swallowed your coffee. One of the funniest things is I asked Gage, well, why not just literally go buy these exact rocks. Like go find, some of the boulders left behind by the glacier in the Ice Age and literally buy them. How much would that cost? He said well less than half the price that they paid, like a couple $1,000s.
There is some Canadian artist getting paid for this.
My favorite part though, girls, just wait. He said, just wait. They sent out like a 3D scanning camera capture device to make reproductions of real boulders.
Oh my God.
So somewhere out there in nature, these boulders do exist. And without consent, because how do we know they got the boulders' consent to recreate their likeness in the form of recycled plastic? We don't know. But they captured it.
Is insane.
That's
mental. And then they recreated it. So these are actual recreations of real boulders made out of recycled plastic.
I wonder why. Wait, I wonder, and we're asking how they could have possibly spent $300,000.
This is what
they sent out a survey team, you guys, a survey team
with like Star Trek laser cameras.
Yeah, with 3D laser cameras to measure rocks in the wild. And then they 3D printed them. This would be the natural. This is insane, you guys.
I know.
This is insane.
They're appropriating these boulders' identity.
I
don't know.
I wish that they could use whatever scanning device they used and then just scan city council and then create plastic versions of them so we could fire the other ones instead of just allowing them to waste the money like this.
Oh, it would save money. They could just prop them up.
Cynthia Block is like a Lego character / Barbie. You know what I mean?
My gosh.
And her head only goes back and forth for when people want to ask for money. Just like this.
Yes, a bob head. Like the Taco Bell dog.
Back and forth, just like this.
Okay, I got to get us back on track.
Okay, sorry.
Because we're half an hour into the show. Okay, now this is I think these numbers are based on our Main Street polling from Rise of Alberta.
Yeah.
And this shows the danger of Smith attacking the separatists and the separatists attacking Smith. Mm-hmm. So, but it also shows how actually close we are to going one way on the referendum. So one poll, that's fine, found that 59.4% of UCP voters would vote for Alberta independence. Apply that figure to the UCP's polling from January 2026, roughly 55%, then you already arrive at 33% of Albertans represented by pro-independence UCP voters. Then consider everyone else. There are smaller pockets of support among voters from the other parties. It's not difficult to see how that could totally plausibly sit at the 37 to 40% range, for sure. There are the crypto separatists out there. And that's that the campaign has only just begun. They go on to say polls are useful snapshots, but they don't decide elections or referendums. Yeah, ask Pierre Poilievre. Populist movements have often outperformed polling projections, including Brexit, Donald Trump's 2016 victory. The only poll that truly matters is the one held on voting day. And anyway, they break down the math. But that was our polling data. And we actually found similar results in conservative voters, the federal conservative voters. It's roughly the same. So both sides risk alienating each other when they get a little personal, as they have been. And I don't think that I don't think the conservative movement writ large understands that. Jason Kenney needs to take the heat down a little bit, because he's going to drive people away from the Conservative Party of Canada if he's their mouthpiece on this.
Well, but it's like at this point, I'm like, is that the point? Is that the point? Because they've done it so frequently and for so frequently over these last several months that you just wonder about their motivation. I don't know what it is. However, you do see shades of, remember during COVID, where the way people talked to each other and about each other changed so drastically. It was like all humanity was removed. And you see echoes of this same thing repeating in this situation in Alberta, where we have people like Jason Kenney on one side, like some of the other players, and even from the UCP side, describing people on the other side in not the best terms. And my point is that we will all still have to be neighbors after this. Okay.
Thank you.
And what we say about each other and how we describe each other is really important in this moment, giving each other grace to just say what we want for us. Like we should be able to do that. This is not too much to ask for. These are the rules of brunch, basically, that I would like to apply to this.
Well, and to her credit, Danielle Smith has, I think, struck as best she can the right tone. She has said she's a federalist, but she said the grievances of the people working within the independence movement are real. And it is the fault of the federal government that these people, myself included, see no other way forward than a vote for independence.
Yeah. She is doing a good job with that tap dance. I would not want to be in her position actually on this question.
Same.
It's pretty hard. If I can, I agree, Lise, that people need to watch their language when they're talking about each other. Even over brunch. Good thing you mentioned brunch. It was actually at the supporter event, I noticed, because somebody had kind of sort of glanced around the issue. It's interesting they weren't directly asking me, because you could tell they didn't want to divide the room against each other, right? And I said basically the same thing of, listen, the grievances are absolutely real. Like, we are getting constantly shut down. They're taking billions of dollars away from Alberta. We're being controlled quite often by things like an unelected Senate. We're getting controlled by things like judges, you know, being appointed from somewhere in Ottawa. Like, your grievances are real. But how we speak about each other is also really important. I've noticed even on my local Facebook group here in Lethbridge, people using names, I forget what they used for Federalists, but it was nasty. And then the ones who want separation are seppies, like idiot seppies and stuff. It was strange. And I just want to do an appeal. Don't let government, and that includes former politicians with big, long pensions to look forward to, by the way, I will point out, don't let them divide you from your loved ones. Like, we're not always going to get along with our neighbors. I understand that. But especially when it comes to your friends and family, I know this is like 50-50 in some cases, and that's rough. Just to your point, Lise, don't let the lockdown thing happen again. Like, you know, it went through my family like a wildfire. It'll never recover from that time.
Us too. And I think that's common. That's standard across the board for everyone. Yeah,
it is. But I want to stress the numbers that people are bringing up when it comes to things like equalization, tying up pipelines, strangling natural resources. That's all legit. Like, that's all a legit grievance. I'm going to be raising that actually at a Claire's Home meeting tonight. I'm highlighting how much this has been costing people. So just, I agree. What I'm really interested in, though, Sheila, is digging down on those numbers. This was Main Street you guys used for this?
Yeah.
But good on you. That's smart. Using a Main Street poll or a mainstream poll, really smart.
Pollster, yes.
Should have gotten more traction. I'm surprised actually that it didn't get more traction within mainstream.
Chris,
you know, it's funny because that poll showed a lot of things that we asked questions that we wanted to know who supports independence and to what level. We wanted to know about the demographics of those people. And what we found was many of them dislike Mark Carney as much as the rest of us. They just have a different idea at the end, like how do we fix that problem? And so, you know, like at Act for Alberta, which is now Alberta's Choice, you know, if you want to tailor your messaging, you have to know who exactly you're talking to convince, because I don't need to convince everybody. I just need to convince these people right in the middle. We like figure out who the convincibles are and what their issues were. And we asked a very revealing question to the people who identified it as themselves as Indigenous in the polling response. And wouldn't you know it, Indigenous people support independence at a greater rate than the general population.
I wonder why.
Well, isn't that interesting?
Nearly 50%. So I think, again, this is a message for the people in the independence movement. Realize that your grudges with the chiefs, these activist chiefs who are trying to subvert democracy by going to the activist courts, your grudges with them. There are many Indigenous fellow Albertans who share their grievances and were long before you on board
Oh
with
yeah.
the
That's right.
independence movement. Nobody has been more harmed than the status quo than our friends and neighbors who live on reserve. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So
it was
again,
nearly 50%.
yeah. So again, it goes back to we are all going to have to be neighbors after this.
Amen.
And the way that we approach each other in this time is really important. And I think that if you enter with good faith and you are genuinely interested in the best for Alberta, you can't go wrong. You just can't go wrong. Yeah.
Yep.
Give people grace and be compassionate. If I can, I have, spoken with people at different events who truly are worried if, people vote to leave, if there's separation, etc.
Yeah.
And it isn't I love big government and spending half my paycheck on taxes. No, they'll have examples of, my grandfather fought in the war. That means so much to me. My ancestors or some of my family are from back east, and they all love the same things I do. Like it's meaningful to them. And so I just would caution folks of watch with the language. Let's all try to work this out. I will again though point out that people, those who are saying that we're getting a great deal from Ottawa, they got to go back. They got to go check their stats.
That's
we're
right.
Not.
That's
we're
right.
Not. We're legit being screwed over by Ottawa.
Well, and we're not exactly the people that claim that are the ones that are benefiting from Ottawa's setup right now. Those are the ones that aren't hurting whenever Ottawa makes a bad decision and who hold us sort of hostage to their bad ideas. Yeah.
Hey, Chris, how long do we have you for?
However long you want. I'm good until 1 my time, and that's when I need to do a video with Franco because we do have a little win with the streaming tax thing.
Yes. Yes, we do.
So that was a good thing. So I'm doing a quick hey supporters, great job. Because they backed off on this stupid, hey, Americans, you need to somehow create Canadian content at your cost and then shove it into your streaming services, which of course would just increase our costs for things like Spotify or, Audible or Netflix, you name it. Anything that's foreign and is streaming, they were going to try to shove maple syrup down their nose. And it was going to cost all of us. So I'm glad they backed off on that. That's a win.
Good.
Okay,
awesome.
If that's the case, and if we have Chris for a little longer, let's hit an ad break. We'll come back on the other side because I want to talk about the motorcycle giveaway that didn't work, and Canadians cutting back on meat and skipping meals thanks to food inflation. And then I'll get to my Tim Hortons conspiracy theories.
Oh, please.
So, yes.
I can't wait.
Okay, we'll hit an ad break. We'll be right back. Yeah.
Folks, in my many years of reporting for Rebel News, I've covered corrupt politicians, rogue bureaucrats, and even parking enforcement officers who'd rather take a nap than write some tickets. But I have to say, this is a first. Apparently, I'm now available as a gift. Rebel News has launched something we're calling shoutouts. Here's the idea. You pick your favorite Rebel News journalist, maybe that's yours truly, or maybe it's someone else, that's okay. I won't take it personally. You tell us who the message is for, what the occasion is, and any details that'll make it feel personal. A name, an inside joke, a few things we should know about them. The more info you give us, the better the video. We'll record a selfie-style video and deliver it straight to your inbox within 3 business days. Birthdays, graduations, anniversaries, retirements, Father's Day, Mother's Day, Christmas, you name it. Messages are available in 30, 60, and 90-second increments, starting at just $100. Need it fast? Add 24-hour rush delivery for an extra $50. And every dollar you spend goes directly toward supporting Rebel News and our independent journalism. No government bailouts here, no corporate strings, just Canadians helping Canadians to keep telling the truth. Give the gift no one saw coming. Visit rebelnews.com/shoutouts. That's rebelnews.com/shoutouts to make your request today. I will be waiting.
In Canada, firearms owners like me understand the importance of safe, effective self-defense options. That's why we're proud to have Byrna as a sponsor. Byrna's less lethal launchers are designed to help protect you and your family without taking a life. Byrna offers peace of mind, accessibility, and a practical layer of personal security for Canadians who value safety. Learn more at byrna.ca/rebel. That's byrna.ca/rebel.
For generations, many Canadians have preserved more than just firearms.
Many of our men and women
They've
clad in
preserved
uniform.
history, tradition, competition, memories. But under Trudeau, and now Carney, heirlooms, estates, collectibles, and competition firearms now have to be surrendered and destroyed. While violent gun criminals get pass after pass, openly ignoring any legislation, lawful gun owners are trapped in an increasingly unfair legal system. But we can help. Canada's National Firearms Association's Save Firearms program offers the legal pathway to preserve what matters, while we work towards a political solution. Don't let yours be next. Save history, save heritage, save firearms. Visit nfa.ca today to learn more.
Canada's been told to just quit smoking for decades, same message over and over, and yet millions of Canadians still smoke. So let's ask a follow-up question. For those who don't quit, what about change? In 2026, Canada has options that didn't exist years ago. Smoke-free alternatives for adults who would otherwise continue smoking. That doesn't mean risk-free, it means informed choice. If you don't smoke, don't start. If you smoke, quit. But for those who don't quit, change could still be part of the conversation. That's why Canadians should check out unsmoke.ca, an information resource focused on smoke-free alternatives and honest facts, not judgment. Put the lighter down, Canada. Learn what your options are.
All right. Let's go to this first story because Chris has a recipe that she wants to share. And it's so funny because my mom used to cook this recipe all the time. It was a struggle meal for us. Canadians are cutting back on meat due to the rising cost of groceries, thanks to all the out of control government spending. Canadians are eating less meat, skipping meals altogether. This is from Blacklock's due to rising food prices, says in-house research by the Department of Agriculture. Data shows figures showing the typical household is no longer able to meet the Canada Food Guide. Now, I don't think you should be trying to eat to the Canada Food Guide,
Right.
because that's how you get sick and diabetes. But the things that should be on the top of the food guide are your meat and your saturated fats, as is the case with the corrected food guide in the United States, thanks to RFK. But if you wanted to eat to the appropriate food guide, you could not, because of how the government handles the food supply, taxation, monetary policy, and frankly, supply management.
Sure.
And it's an outrage.
It is. And I want to preface to say, with people listening now, we're fine now. We're fine now. You don't need to send me coupons and all that stuff. And also back when I was a kid, they mean well, but they're like, they get panicked, right? When they hear it.
Yeah.
So, and also even back in the 80s, so during the big energy oil patch shutdown and stuff, that hit so many working class families hard, including I was out in BC. And so all of a sudden there was no fly in, fly out anymore, right? It all stopped. And so there were times that were, you were eating beans and wieners like every night for a long time. Another one was tomato soup with macaroni in it. I don't know if people remember that one.
Yep. I still make that.
Yeah,
for my kids, just out of nostalgia.
Right.
Yep.
And so, but there's one that we used to have them kind of more as a tuna melt, like you and I were mentioning on text during the break. It was on toast. But I wanted to give actually this soup recipe. I know it sounds weird.
It's not gross.
It's not gross. I promise you it tastes really good. But when you highlighted, sorry, I won't even get choked up. When you highlighted that a lot of people can't afford meat, that's very upsetting.
Yeah.
So I wanted to give this recipe And it's not mine.
Oh.
Folks who have not read the Tightwad Gazette by Amy Decision, okay? She put it out in the 90s, so it's kind of dated now. But if you go to your library, she's got 2 really good things she recommends. And one is the price book. I'll get to that in a second. But I actually wanted to share this recipe. It's called tuna cheddar chowder. You can make it with a couple of carrots, a package of chicken noodle soup mix, a can of tuna, if you can afford it, a can of salmon, okay? And you mix it all together with a little bit of milk if you've got it, and throw in some cheddar cheese to melt. It's great. It tastes really good. You're getting some vegetables in there. You're getting your protein in there. Hopefully, if you've got meat and cheddar, milk and cheddar, you're getting your dairy in there, which, we eat a lot of that in our house. And it tastes amazing. And if you've got Worcestershire sauce, I don't think I pronounced that properly. It's the Big W sauce. It makes it taste fancy, actually. And it's got a beautiful golden color, and it lasts for a couple of days. And you can change it as you want. Like, you can put a little bit more or less of the chicken noodle soup mix in there if you like it. You can put, like I said, salmon in there. If you've got sardines, my grandma used to eat sardines on toast, right? It's very good for you. And so I just know, I always like giving practical help to people. If you're one of those who are struggling to afford food, that's super upsetting. And I just wanted to actually give out that recipe. I texted you the image of the recipe, Sheila. I don't know if we can put that in the show notes or not.
Oh, I can.
We love ourselves a struggle recipe, Chris. Like, we've actually, Sheila Gunn Reed and I have talked about doing like a Rebel News recipe book with all of the standard good things that you can feed your family.
You know what?
We grew up poor, so we know
should do
how
that.
this works.
No, I'm legit. Us girls, we need to make this happen. Because not
would you guys buy a cookbook? I'm constantly, like, I complained on the show yesterday. I'm not only in charge of my own sourdough starter, but my daughter is camping, so now I've got to take care of her sourdough starter. So, like, I'm a baker. I bake, and as you guys know, I'm a pickler.
You are
all the things.
I've got your pickles right there in a jar on my shelf. Yeah,
I'm making more.
I know. They're so special to me. I didn't want to open them, but legit, that is a really good recipe. It lasts for a couple of days. Shredded carrot, chopped up celery, bag of chicken noodle soup, packet of chicken noodle soup, can of tuna, and some milk. Whisk it all together. Sprinkle some cheese if you can. Tastes amazing, and you got all the stuff in there: protein, vegetables.
Yeah, and canned tuna is cheap, all things considered. $1.50.
Not wood for now.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, we can get to the official stats now if you want to.
No, it's okay. Let's move on from that depressing story. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, cost of living failure.
Screenshot right now.
Everybody screenshot it.
Everybody, do it right now.
And it's literally from her book. This is from the book that I have on my shelf. So
yeah,
there you go.
Oh, this is a great question to ask the live chat right now. Is like, what is your favorite struggle meal from childhood? Like, what is the thing that your mom made that you still make, and that you're hopelessly devoted to? Because it's still comfort food, even though it's a struggle meal. It's still comfort food.
Hamburger chow mein.
Oh, I haven't had hamburger chow mein. I don't think.
Oh, my
chow
mom's
mein noodles
is like
are so cheap.
My mom's is like a hamburger goulash. My mom was a big fan of the electric frying pan. Remember when we went to the electric?
Was yours harvest gold? What color was it?
Oh, ours was ivory with an orange floral pattern on it.
Oh no, we didn't have that. Ours was aluminum, and if you touched where the thing went in, you'd get electrocuted.
Oh, the big humongous spike that goes in the side. Yeah, to power it, that thing. Ours melted off, and then it didn't even have a dial. You had to set it and then plug it it into the wall, but you couldn't touch it when it was alive. I mean, I should have kept it for a museum exhibit, but anyway, goulash was my mom's favorite. I'd put that in the recipe book that we're gonna do.
That's with like the ground Hamburg, as my grandmother would call it, Hamburg.
Yes.
Macaroni and canned tomatoes.
Like a can of tomatoes. That's right. Yeah, that's it. If you you want to know, you fancy it up, Worcestershire sauce.
Again, like I said, I just feel, I don't know, British or something. It's amazing.
Yeah. Hamburger chow mein. So brown your hamburger. Put onions, garlic.
Yeah.
Chunks of celery. If you got mushrooms, throw them in. Whatever
veg you have. Yeah.
Whatever vegetable you have, broccoli maybe, but don't put that until later. Then a bag of chow mein noodles, like the big chow mein noodles, and then a cup of water, a quarter to
Ooh,
half
just
a cup
steam
of
'em.
soy
Yeah.
sauce, throw it in, close the lid. Once your vegetables are cooked and your noodles are cooked, it's good to go.
Huh. See, we
Yep.
would put that. We're gonna put that
Right
in
in
the
the book,
rebel,
struggle meal.
yeah, the struggle meal,
Such a
rebel
budget
struggle meal.
stretcher. And the kids would love the taste of that. They would. And it's
Yeah.
good for you. Good
Yeah.
for you. We're good. Okay, that's it. We just gave birth to a recipe book. I'm
Yeah,
glad.
we're gonna. Oh, I can't wait. I actually can't wait.
Sorry, Sheila. I
make
We're gonna have to
Glad
write an
conversation.
acknowledgement to Mark Carney in the front of our cookbook.
Oh, you know what? I was just thinking when Chris was talking about like adding Worcestershire and making it fancy. Okay, that Mark Carney spends $200,000 per trip on his catered 5-star Michelin star food extravaganza, and for regular Canadians, here we are.
No name
I have-
Worcestershire.
but like divide your tuna up. You don't want to use the whole can if you can use it for something else. You know what I mean? The rest of us have had to pivot so hard, and this is directly based on carbon taxes and inflation and supply chain management. This is the fault of the Liberal government, and yet we have to do these things. Like if only there was a way to kick them out.
I know.
Yes.
What Lee's saying, if I can really quick, Sheila, is true. What she just listed there is true. He blew like $200,000 on airplane food. The latest one we caught him doing was 160 grand, and he had like 1 or 2 stops. It was ridiculous. And for
this
people
is just the food cost.
this is just the food cost.
the food
And
cost.
I don't know if they're blending lobster with saffron and then drinking ancient wine with it, or how
Caviar,
on earth.
covering it in caviar and then dipping it in solid gold flake. Yes.
For
What
real,
on earth?
like if I picture a really fancy like dinner at like the Keg or something, it's still not even approaching this amount of cost. And I'm talking
No.
like steak and all sorts of fancy stuff.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
this is outrageous that he's spending this amount of money. And to the quickly point on inflation, because this gets lost so much. Thank you. God bless you, Lise, for bringing this up.
Welcome.
When they locked down the production side of stuff in Canada, the Trudeau government also printed about $400 billion out of thin air. They did it at the same time. It was the perfect storm. That's why we have inflation. As Pierre Poilievre often says, we had too many dollars chasing too few goods. And we're still stuck with that now. It's hideous. I don't know when inflation is actually going to come down, and I'm really sorry. But that's why we're going to help with the recipe book.
It came down on prawns. We discovered it came down on prawns last week.
Oh, Chris, I hope you have your seatbelt on right now. They're down 2 to 6% in price. Prawns.
Prawns. Don't
Oh.
worry, hamburgers up. Way up. Chicken way
Everything
up.
else is
Tomatoes like 30%. Yeah.
Chicken 30%.
Meat
Like
is
wild.
crazy. I'll give you a perfect example of the inflation. Back before, in the before times, remember the before times in 2019? I used to be able to get a 1 kilogram jar of regular peanut butter, like Jif or whatever, from Walmart on sale. To be fair, it was on sale for $3.50, $3.75. It would go on sale for that amount. Now you're lucky to find it for $7.
Yeah,
Isn't
double.
that wild? Same
Double.
with just like regular gas station snacks, guys. Potato chips. Potato chips. Not even the good potato chips, but like the store brand potato chips. $6 a bag.
I know. It's inflation. It's inflation.
Yep.
When you have too many dollars chasing too few things. And I've asked Franco this, and he's not just a pretty face on camera. He's actually got a master's degree in economics. He's a smart dude. I said, okay, how do we actually like soak up the extra dollars? Like talk to me like I'm 6. It's like I've accidentally spilled the mop bucket in the kitchen. And there's water. Where are we going to soak it up? He said it's just you actually have to physically build houses, physically build cars, build stuff.
We don't build things in this country.
I know.
Sorry.
But we need more widgets.
Next idea, Chris.
Interesting.
Sorry. Okay, I just want to move ahead because here's an example of the out of control government spending. Foreign Minister Anita Anand, again, this is from Blacklocks. Her department billed taxpayers millions to give away free motorbikes in Ghana, but failed to provide funding for parts and fuel. There were several areas of relative weakness, that's one way of putting it, in the $135 million program, said consultants report released yesterday through Access to Information. Taxpayers were charged for nearly 3,200 motorbikes, 266 pickups, 16 station wagons, and enough uniforms and work boots for 2,300 farm agents in Ghana. The agents were to visit local growers with advice on irrigation, fertilizer, and other know-how. Ghanaian farm agents could not afford to refuel the vehicles or buy spare parts. There was insufficient upfront life cycle costing, for example, fuel maintenance, spare parts, and replacement cycles.
Oh, we're sorry.
And yeah. So anyways, this whole thing fell apart. And this from the same government that told me, I think it was Mark Holland, who told me that my summer road trip would burn the planet, but we're giving pickups and motorcycles to farm agents in Ghana, which I don't know how that is a Canadian concern. But
That's
people
wild.
they can't even afford their daily public transit commute in Canada, let alone fuel up their Canadian minivan. And then we're giving $135 million to Ghanaian farm agents and just saying, here's your motorcycles, your pickups, whatever. We're out.
And then they don't work. And then they don't work.
And they can't fuel them. And they don't have adequate fuel supply to be able to make them go.
But I don't want to give them any of this stuff.
Of course. Of course. Like, not only is it a disgusting waste of taxpayers' money to do this at the first place, but then it also didn't work.
Right.
Like, on top of everything else. It's an abject failure.
Yeah, that's what you get when we prioritize feel-good programs like the Liberals do, because nothing makes them feel better than to stand up on the world stage and announce to the world, this benevolent program that they've invented. $135 million would go a long way to helping suffering Canadians. And it's time to put an end to these programs, all of them.
It could pay like 1,300 RNs for a whole year.
Holy Hannah.
Picture 1,300 registered nurses standing there ready to work for a whole year. That's how much we blew on this nonsense. And for folks who don't know where Ghana is, I always picture like South America, like an ice cream cone, and Africa, like an ice cream cone, but the ice cream's kind of falling out.
Right, like cowboy boots in a box.
Yeah,
cowboy boots in a box.
Exactly. It's right underneath the part that's lopsided over on Africa. So Ghana's on the south coast part of like the shelfy part of Africa. I'm not a map specialist.
It's where Madonna got her ethnic babies from, if anybody is wondering. The celebrities will adopt little ethnic children from there. That's how far away it is.
Well,
we spent $135
million bucks.
I'm over here buying my own dirt bikes like some idiot.
Have you thought about identifying
as the Ghanaian farm agent?
And this is the thing. Like, what annoys me here, if I may, very quickly, ladies, I know we're running out of time. Sorry for talking so much, Sheila, but you did invite me on the show.
I know.
What happened was, what annoys me here is that this takes advantage of Canadians' good intentions.
Generosity.
And their good hearts. It's the same way they screwed people with the carbon tax. You won't complain about us screwing you over and not being able to afford food or driving or heating your home because you care about the planet and of your children, right? It's the same manipulation. Say, God forbid, there's another massive earthquake and people are trapped and like there's human suffering happening. Canadians typically are like, oh my gosh, let us help. Send the search and rescue teams, help fuel the helicopters, like save those lives. Like that's the way people are here. And they take advantage of that one kernel and they then blow $135 million on motorbikes and pickup trucks in Ghana that don't work.
I want to talk to you guys. I want to talk to you guys about my Tim Hortons conspiracy theories.
Oh, please.
Okay.
We're ready.
So for those of you who are on the internet too much like I am, I saw the gender activists lose their marbles at Tim Hortons. And I thought, Sheila, stay out of this. Your enemies are fighting. And because Tim Hortons has this promotion to celebrate the 25 years of the first Harry Potter movie. And they are saying that this is transphobic because J.K. Rowling has said there are two sexes. Women are entitled to sex-based spaces, and nobody should lose their job for saying so. And so then CBC rounds up the activists and publishes a story about them. They actually were able to find a Canadian who works at Tim Hortons, which I guess good for CBC for doing that, who said that this makes her feel unsafe at work. Guys, these are donuts about a book. Like, okay,
wait,
like
sorry,
this
I'm sorry,
donuts about
Sheila,
a book.
wait. They found a white person working at Tim Hortons who claimed
Right,
that they were made
the
to
first
feel
mystery. And then they were made to feel unsafe about going to work. And who else did they find? EGAL, who gets like at least $4 million in funding every year from the Canadian taxpayer.
It's the federally funded NGO, legal NGO. Yeah.
Says that Tim Hortons is not reflective of the diversity of Canada. And Chris Wells, the Trudeau appointed senator from Alberta, who stole the job from Erica Barutz, who was elected by the people of Alberta to be a senator. He said that he would instead volunteer his time to create a pride Timbit, and that this is profoundly tone deaf or something like that. Again, good sir, you're in the Senate.
But please.
We're talking about a book and donuts. So, and so I find myself applauding Tim Hortons in this, which I do begrudgingly, because Tim Hortons basically said, you guys, it's just a book, and we're going to celebrate this book. Thanks, bye. So a corporate spine for once against the outrage mob. Normally, as this goes, the company then self-flagellates and then pays its indulgence to whatever gender activist mob demands corporate funding from them for the latest DEI struggle session or whatever. They didn't do that. Not yet, anyway. So again, begrudgingly, I say good for Tim Hortons. Now, are you ready for my conspiracy theory now?
Yes.
My conspiracy theory is that this is not an act of corporate backbone, really, at all. This is Tim Hortons saying, our reputation is being absolutely hammered in Canada, particularly with conservative voters who have had enough of our abuse of the temporary foreign worker program. Let's dip our toe into the culture wars that they care about and make a stand. And maybe I think this is like a PR exercise as opposed to them actually doing the right thing. That's me just being a skeptic, and it has a lot to do with my anti-Tim Hortons bias for their abuse of the temporary foreign worker program. But that's where I think this is an attempt to win us back, and it might work on some people, but it ain't working on me.
You're not going to go buy a Gryffindor donut?
No. I wouldn't eat a donut anyway, but like I get what they're doing. I like maybe I'm just being a conspiracy theorist, but
you think that this is an attempt at
I'm a cynic.
At sort of brand rehabilitation, that they're trying to find new inroads to the customers that they may have
with a certain demographic. They want the certain demographic that ran away. And you don't have to, the poison dart frog people, they're already at their boutique coffee shop with the hate has no home here sign in the door. So you don't have to worry about them. They're not coming to Tim Hortons, so you don't have to worry about alienating them. But they have alienated a vast portion of the Canadian public, and I think, and the majority of those people are conservative minded, who also care about this issue. And I think, me being a cynic, I see this as an attempt to get them back.
Yeah, I think you're probably right, Sheila Gunn-Reid. I think you're probably right, because
I could just be overcomplicating it too.
Well, Tim Hortons has 40 years of experience, some of the best branding on planet Earth. Like really, really. Back in the day, Tim's was a thing. Do you remember when it was good, guys? Do you remember when Tim Hortons was good?
Hot soup and the little bun.
They used to bake all of their stuff in store. They used to prepare all of their food in store, and then they went to a bigger model. Then they were sold to an international conglomerate. But I could see, I don't think though that Tim Hortons is that nuanced and knows that much about J.K. Rowling, the stance she's taken on protecting girls and women. I don't think they even got that far. I think they were faced with an offer from the Tim Hortons people from the Harry Potter people who own the rights to the marketing, and said to Tim Hortons, hey, it's going to cost you this many millions of dollars to create a thing, and let us know. And I think that Tim saw an opportunity and took it. I think it's a brilliant business move by J.K. Rowling, who is about to make a cent off of every donut sold. I love this for her.
You are probably right. I'm giving the people at Tim Hortons too much credit, probably. Chris, what do you think?
So just to be clear, I'm it's CBC that dug up this controversy.
Yeah. They reported on a
It's
couple
not a
hundred
controversy.
activists online crying.
So, mon répété, the CBC takes $1.4 billion from you this year. That is an astonishing amount of money that could otherwise pay the full-time salaries of like 7,000 cops and 7,000 frontline workers like paramedics. Okay. Picture them. It's absolutely crazy to picture that. That's combined. That's not that's 7 plus 7,000. Wild.
Oh my God.
Next to nobody is watching these people. Okay. Their supper hour newscasts, I can't stress this enough, are a rounding error. They're like 0.2% of the populations of these places. So people aren't listening. And this is the latest news. Although it isn't really news. Sheila, you and I talked about this. Remember just before the last federal election, when this panel came out on Parliament Hill and said, let's give the CBC $2 billion a year. Right. In that same report is when they said, and we're going to make the state broadcaster the arbiter of truth.
The truth.
Right.
They're going to be the truth police. They're going to decide what is and is not misinformation, disinformation. I hate both those words because you use the word lie or falsehood.
Right.
So it actually wasn't news, but I'm glad it's back in the news now. All this is to say, Carney government is handing the CBC millions more dollars to participate in Eurovision.
Right.
Insane.
Also be the arbiter of truth in Canada. Not a good scene. And here we are. I'll just say we're big J.K. Rowling fans in here, especially like the Harry Potter series. Like it got kids, when I was graduating high school, kids' literacy was plummeting. And they got kids reading books and books and books and books. And it is so, you know what, Lise? I think you might be right. Honestly, the Harry Potter series is still so crazy popular. They're making a brand new series about it, all for TV. The video game for Harry Potter's always
the audio. Oh, so good. They're just so good.
It's crazy popular. Still, it's going gangbusters. I don't think they even notice, honestly, this big foo-for-all thing over donuts. So it's interesting. I think sometimes when we all get, like you said, Sheila, on the internet too much, this is a touch grass moment. And it's like, oh, Harry Potter's really fun and cool. End of thought.
Right.
No matter what Senator Christopher Wells has to say about it.
Right. Radical gender activist Christopher Wells. Show me on the donut where your feelings got hurt. Like, honestly.
Keep pointing the hole.
My kids keep saying I'm Ravenclaw if they do the house thing. Because they do these little quizzes on which house you're in. And they say I'm Ravenclaw. And I love ravens. I don't know what that means, but I'm with
anything. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I've never watched or read a Harry Potter movie.
Oh, no. If you listen to, honestly, I'm listening to the audiobook again. Now it's been many years. It's very similar to like The Witches or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Okay.
That kind of fun,
whimsical,
zany.
Super whimsical. Yeah, it's lovely. It's lovely.
Okay.
Yeah. You'll laugh at the Mandrake Root.
Okay.
Pardon?
I said I'll start listening on my walks.
Wait till you hear the Mandrake Root part. You're gonna like giggle. It's really funny. It's super cute.
Okay. I'll do it.
I promise.
I'll do it.
Another fan turned to J.K. Rowling this morning. How wonderful is that?
Sorry, Chris, how long do we have you?
I can go if you need to kick me off because I'm wasting time.
No. I want to, those are the three things I wanted to get through on the second segment. Now we skipped the Daily Cringe and yesterday, so I promised 2 Daily Cringes, but first I have to show a Daily Delight because Fauci got his ass handed to him today in Congress.
What is happening?
Was it Congress? And anyways, he was supposed to testify, then he pled the fifth, then Rand Paul kicked his lawyer out. Like it was just I don't want to say it was mayhem, but he already has a pardon, a presidential pardon, backdated all the way to 2014. You're not going to incriminate yourself if you're telling the truth. You're going to embarrass yourself. And he was called to testify on his electronic diaries where he was having dinner with Jake Tapper while going on TV and condemning other people for having Thanksgiving.
From CNN. Yes, Jake Tapper from CNN.
So there will never be any real accountability after that presidential pardon. But I think it made a lot of people who were harmed during COVID feel a lot better. And I should point out, wouldn't you know it, Mr. Fauci had a vaccine reaction within days of his own vaccine, and then continued to tell people that what was happening was not happening.
Really?
So Republican Senator, sorry, he's at the Senate, Republican Senator Bernie Moreno talked about who Fauci's lawyer was. And he asked him, do you think you're in deep shit? Which I thought was, there was some swearing going on today in this hearing, and it's not something that you often hear, but there was a lot of who the F do you think you are? Which was
like using the word?
Yes.
Wow.
But I think this is one of the tamer ones. The Republicans really gave it to him. Rand Paul went up one side of him and down the other. Okay, go ahead.
So you can have it for future reference.
We need some audio, Efron.
Something that every American should know what the Constitution says. Do you know who wrote the Fifth Amendment?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution.
So you're invoking a right that you don't know who wrote it or what it says. Is that correct?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Wow. All right, let me tell you who David Schertler is for the audience, because he was ejected by the chairman. He's a high-profile criminal attorney. He's represented some really great people, like Senator Bob Menendez. Maybe that's somebody who my Democrat colleagues may remember took gold bars as bribes from the Egyptians. And there's an article here in the Washington Free Beacon that talks about why you would hire a guy like David Schertler. And the comment is, if you're in deep shit, that's who you call. Do you feel like you're in deep shit?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Clearly, what you think today is that somehow you're above reproach. Somehow you feel like you don't need to be treated like a normal American.
Watch this.
Can you do me a favor in the audience and stand up if during the time of the COVID pandemic, you were called a racist for calling the virus a Wuhan virus or the China virus? If you thought the 6-foot rule was total crap, if you thought the vaccine wasn't something that you should take, if you thought it was outrageous the way the mask policy was rolled out, if you were fired from your job for not taking that vaccine, including members of the military, if you thought closing schools was catastrophically stupid, and that you thought that during these times saying these things made you somehow a lesser human being.
Look at this.
Dr. French, can you just turn around and look at the people behind you? You're not willing to do that? That's not a question. It's not a question. To your lawyers, not a question. It's a request. All you have to do is look up from your lawyers and look at the people who were absolutely shamed for saying what we know now to be the truth. You can't even look at them? That's a question. Are you able to look at them?
Wow.
You can sit down in the audience.
Pleads the Fifth.
There was a...
So,
you know, the Fifth Amendment covers not incriminating yourself, but it doesn't absolve you from looking at the damage you did.
yeah. And I put that
Unreal.
as the daily delight because for a lot of people who lost their jobs,
Yep.
run out of the military, run out of polite society for being right, canceled from the internet, treated like a heretic. I hope that makes you feel better that this Republican senator stood up for you today and tried to hold the decision makers accountable, because while Fauci was not responsible for what happened in Canada, we directly followed every single bit of his advice in lockstep. And Fauci couldn't even face them.
Says everything, doesn't it?
Chris, you're
Coward.
muted. Chris, you're muted.
Oh,
I will add to that, of the list of things you gave there, is that people who were protesting
Mhm.
so a lot of the stuff you just listed in Ottawa,
Yep.
they had the Emergencies Act hammer put down on them.
Yep.
And more so, they had their bank accounts frozen for speaking up, for
Yep.
raising their voice in Canada. And now I will remind them, they have had two court decisions which have said that the Trudeau government was wrong and it was illegal for them to
Yep.
invoke the Emergencies Act, and for the authorities to basically go to, this is how it's been explained to me in Canada. The authorities basically went to banks and
Yes.
said, can you, like, you know, keep an eye on social media and cross-reference it with your patrons, and then freeze the bank accounts
Farm
based
Credit
on what
Canada did this. Yes.
Yep. FCC did this.
and I'm not a constitutional lawyer, but I have interviewed constitutional lawyers about this, really smart people, and they've won in court twice.
Yeah.
Including liberal appointed judges.
Yep.
Who have come out and said, and again, I'm paraphrasing, going into this court case, I was going to say the Emergencies Act was fine. I was going to rule one way. But you have presented such compelling evidence, especially about the bank accounts being frozen, that I'm reversing that. I'm saying that it was wrong. And again, I'm paraphrasing him. It was wrong for the Emergencies Act to be invoked. And the reason why I'm picking on this one part, because within the Taxpayers Federation, we always encourage people to stand up and be heard.
Yeah.
Speak your voice.
Yeah.
And if we're all too frightened to speak up, including about stuff like this, we're in trouble. So yeah, thanks for airing that.
Yep. I've got a couple of cringes based on that. Let's look at Justin Trudeau's new girlfriend with her husband at the time with their Fauci shirts. Fauci gang. I wish people would go around and just delete all this stuff. Like, I know you did it, but like, at least have the shame to go around and delete it, you know?
Imagine having Orlando Bloom and giving him up for Justin Trudeau. Imagine.
Well, there's no accounting for taste.
The step
Cyclist,
down.
what are you doing? Yeah. Bad.
Perplexing. Anyway, Katy Perry likes trash. That's what we know.
We have another cringe, because it really was like a cult at that time. And so now I've been walking down memory lane about like the Fauci nonsense, where the Hollywood stars were like wearing Fauci t-shirts or holding pictures of Fauci. There was the Fauci song, and tell me this wasn't a cult. Tell me this wasn't a cult, because it had, you know, like rituals, the constant hand washing, the masking, the yelling at people for walking the wrong way in the grocery store. And then they had their leader who was, well, he wasn't exactly charismatic, but he zero accountability for the leader. And they did stuff like this in all seriousness. And if we laughed at it, they looked at us like we were crazy. So let's watch.
Dr. Fauci, give us vaccines. Help all the people who have been quarantined. We'll wear our masks and we'll have to stay distant. We'll wash our hands and we'll be more resistant. Fauci, yes? Promise us, please. We'll have a cure that can fight off this disease. Restrictions will lift with some ease. Dr. Fauci, don't forget me. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, on that note, we've got to say bye to Chris. Her real job calls. Chris, thanks so much for coming on the show. I think she might have been gone already. But anyways, thanks to Chris. She's got to go, so we'll sign off. But I can't believe we lived through the TikTok dancing nurses and these weird kids that spent all this time locked up, door dashing food and writing Fauci songs.
We did that. We actually
that.
did that. We lived through the masks and the hysteria and the daily updates. Do you remember when they used to do daily updates of
Oh,
new
I know.
cases and regions, and the amount of attention that it got at the time? It was just all consuming. But then again, it was meant to be. It was meant to be.
I called it the daily necromancy ritual of the Alberta government, because every day somebody in like a weird costume, be it the lab coat or whatever Dina Hinshaw was wearing that day, would get up on a podium and use the dead to scare the living.
That's what
every
happened.
single day.
Yeah, it was morbid.
It's just to control us, like literally using the death numbers to control us. So that's a form of necromancy. Anyways, thank you to Chris Sims for jumping on the show. We kept her longer than we promised. She's
the best.
The best. The best.
Just the best. Yeah.
Follow her work over at the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. And if you are not yet involved over there, I highly recommend you do get involved, even if it's just signing a petition so you can identify yourself as a supporter in whatever little battle that they have going on that day. It's very helpful, and there's a sense of fellowship. Lise, thanks so much for these last 2 days here on the live stream. Maybe see you this weekend.
You're very welcome. Yes, yes. We will. We are going to endeavor to see each other this weekend. So look forward to next week, everyone. We'll have some fun stories to share, maybe.
For sure. Sunburns and headaches. Anyway, Efron, thanks so much behind the board. And I'm sorry we kept you so long. And to those of you who interact with our content, contribute to our work, we couldn't do this without you, because, you know, we don't take any money from the government to do the work that we do. We fiercely protect our independence over here. Nobody can tell us what to do, because nobody owns us. I guess I'll see you tomorrow. I think I'm hosting with Tamara Ugolini. And as we frequently say on the show here, if you find us offensive, maybe don't find us at all.